Hello and welcome to My Thing, Your Thing, a podcast with me, Hannah.
And me, Donovan. Why are you sound so weird?
I don't know. It's been a while since we recorded anything.
I mean, yeah, it has been a little bit, but, like, you didn't completely forget how to do it.
I hope not.
Yeah.
We both know how my memory is, though, so you know.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hello, welcome. This is one of my things.
Yay!
And we're doing a movie from my childhood.
Hooray.
One that Donovan has never heard of before.
I only vaguely... It's sort of from that period of time in the late 80s that, like, my parents were too old to really know anything about, and I was not born yet, so basically just zero pop culture relevance to me.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing a movie called Batteries Not Included, which is one that I watched a lot as a kid. And there's this kind of sentiment that's been floating around the web quite a lot. Nobody understands the bond between a millennial and the mediocre movie their family just happened to own on VHS when they were 12 years old.
Yeah.
I also had a hard time tracking that quote down. Yeah. I think the earliest source that I could find was a Threads post from March of last year.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. So whoever invented that, we salute you.
Yeah. I a little bit disagree with it. It has this idea that everybody has like that one movie that they bonded with really hard. It's struck a chord with so many people that like, yeah, we all kind of understand the bond that a millennial has with the random VHS that their family owned and they watched a million times.
Yeah, totally.
And this is mine. And the other thing that kind of annoys me is that like every rib post that I saw of that has hundreds of comments from people who are talking about their family movie. And I have a small nit to pick here with several of those replies, because oftentimes the people are referencing movies like Homeward Bound or Beverly Hills Cop or Sandlot. And those are all movies that like are still deeply relevant.
Yeah,
and
those
like
are
people,
very popular.
Yeah, people know and love. Like you might have had a VHS copy of Sandlot and watched a lot, but like I don't think that it quite is getting at like the heart of what this post is talking about. Also, like, you know, those aren't mediocre. Sandlot is a beloved movie. And so is Homeward Bound. So I think that a movie that's more in the spirit of this post would be something that you later were surprised that other people hadn't seen a dozen times or so.
Yeah, that you thought was like a ubiquitous experience, but it turned out it wasn't.
And so for me, that's Batteries Not Included.
Yeah.
This movie is from 1987. I have a very distinct memory of watching this movie on my older sister's birthday party when she was turning probably like 7, and her being like, yeah, we've watched this movie a lot. It's so great. We love it. And I'm like, I've never seen this before in my life.
Hey! And I pass it along.
This is a very similar experience to like the first time that I remember watching Goonies. My older sister was like, yeah, we watched Goonies every time we went to our aunt's house. And I was like, I have never seen this movie before in my life, once a single time.
Hannah?
And so...
Hannah?
I have really bad memory, apparently, and I'm also super oblivious.
Hannah?
Yeah?
I've never actually seen Goonies.
You've never seen Goonies?
No, although I have absorbed the movie through pop culture osmosis at this point.
Yeah, at this point you've seen Goonies.
I basically, yes, but I've never actually sat down and watched Goonies. Yeah. Again, from that same period of time, from the mid to late 80s, where like just the pop culture just missed me. Goonies
turned into a huge cult classic, however, and I think that me and my family are perhaps the only people who remember Batteries Not Included.
Yeah, you're probably right. Isn't this like Steven Spielberg related in some way?
It is. Yes, it is a Steven Spielberg movie. But
he didn't like direct it.
No.
So
Batteries Not Included is set in New York at the end of the 80s. It's a little bit about found family, a little bit about gentrification, and a lot about tiny alien robots.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. This movie was originally written as an episode of an anthology series that Steven Spielberg created that was called Amazing Stories. It had 2 seasons, and it started in 1985.
Nice.
But Spielberg liked the story from this episode so much that he turned it into its own movie and scrapped the episode idea. There were several people brought in to work on the script. Hold on while we run through this really quickly.
Yeah.
When it was originally an episode, the story was written by a man named Mick Garris, who had done a lot of work with Spielberg, and he continued to work with him on TV.
Yeah.
The full movie script was written by Matthew Robbins, who had previously worked with Spielberg as an uncredited writer on Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., and THX 1138.
Yeah.
He's been with him for a long time, but he's like uncredited because from what I understand, he's in the writing room as like a creative person, not necessarily that he like put pen to paper and wrote stuff down.
Yeah, he was an ideas guy.
But he has actually written full scripts or like worked on scripts. He worked a lot with Guillermo del Toro on several movies, including Crimson Peak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so Matthew Robbins, like, he wrote essentially like the first version of the script.
Sure.
I think he actually wrote like 2 versions of it. This movie's been rewritten several times. And he brought in Brad Bird to work with him on it.
Okay.
Brad Bird of Pixar fame.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, the guy who did Iron Giant and The Incredibles and Ratatouille.
Wow, so many good movies.
So many good movies, yeah.
Although he also did some bad ones.
I mean, yeah. Not every...
Who hasn't?
Every so often you got to put a stinker out.
Yeah.
And so then...
He also, I think, worked on The Simpsons for a while.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. And so then the final script was reworked by 2 more writers, S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock, both of whom had just worked on Short Circuit.
Oh,
the other robot movie.
The other robot movie that came out, yeah.
Yeah. So wild how in a movie with ostensibly 5 writers has been so forgotten, right? I mean, surely more writers means more better, right?
Well, how many cooks do you need in this kitchen?
Oh, fantastic question. There are so many of them, actually.
Oh, no.
So it's only 106 minutes. It's not that long.
Yeah.
And it had a budget of $25 million, and it brought back $65 million. So...
I was just about to say, $25 million is a lot for, like, like, this is like a family movie, right?
Kind of, yeah.
A lot for, like, a late 80s family film kind of thing. I guess there's some special effects.
There are some special effects,
Yeah.
and they are special effects in the time when it would have been extremely costly to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know what? It makes perfect sense that it's not become a cult classic because it made money. And if it makes money, it can't become a cult classic. That's how it works.
Yeah, they didn't have to, like, sell it off so it could be shown every Tuesday afternoon on TNT or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. If you have a successful film, it either becomes a box office sensation or it just kind of quietly gets forgotten because, like, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, so Matthew Robbins was the director. He wrote the first script and then he actually also directed it. And so going back to that original post, I remember loving this movie as a kid, but it has a very middling score across various movie rating sites. It's 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and 55% on Rotten Tomatoes.
55% on Rotten Tomatoes surprised me.
Yeah.
The rest of them kind of, like, make sense. It's like, yeah, we liked it, but it wasn't that great.
It seems very middling, mediocre kind of thing.
Sure. Is it, not to be, maybe you don't know this, but, like, the Rotten Tomatoes score, is that audience score or, like, your reviewer score?
Yeah, it's a 55 for the tomato meter and then 64 for the popcorn. So audiences liked it a little bit better than like official.
64 kind of sounds more like the other reviews.
Yes.
Yeah. 55 seems kind of low. I wonder, like, the reviews for it just must not have been very good at the
I
time.
was checking some of the reviews and there were several people who said that it's like too saccharine. It's like too family friendly sweet. There were a lot of people who were like, here goes Steven Spielberg again, emotionally manipulating you so that you like the people in this. And I'm like, that seems...
What a weird... that reminds me of that internet meme, like, that someone did a post a year or two ago where someone was just like, feeling emotions when you engage with media is bad. That means they're manipulating you. And it's just like, my guy... What the fuck are you talking about?
That is so far from my experience of art. But
yeah.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, so this is not a movie that is remembered. There are some people who like, they're not huge actors in it. Like, there's no Robert Downey Jr. or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no, like, huge stars.
There are people who have had longer careers, but they are the older actors who have a long and storied career before this and aren't necessarily, like... Tibby Hedren or whatever isn't in this. There is not a whole lot for people of like modern day to grab onto. And so the thing that I'm really interested in is I also specifically want you and your remembrance of living in New York and like this idea of 1987 New York.
Interesting. I wasn't around for
I know, yeah, you weren't there for
New
that.
York. Yeah, that's more like when my parents were living there.
Yeah.
I was more around for like the Giuliani years of New York.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
so I was also reading up about, like, New York in the 80s, and there were a bunch of people who were like, it was a wasteland. Like, it really did feel like, oh gosh, like Escape from New York, or what's the one, the Warriors come out to play.
Oh, yeah, Warriors.
It was called, okay.
I love Warriors. It's a great movie. I also really love Escape from New York. Yeah, gosh, this is a little bit of a tangent, but when I was like a really young kid in New York, I sort of saw the end of New York sleaze. Like I remember as a kid seeing like porno theaters closing essentially. Like they were still there, but they were like being shuttered and they were, Times Square was like becoming more and more of like a sanitized Disney World like tourist trap, and less of like a place where like people live and do things, and you know, like New York City. You know, I have mixed feelings about it. I have mixed feelings about a lot of what has happened to New York, both good and bad over the years.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, just like reading a synopsis of the plot, which I did do, like the idea of a family living in Manhattan is such a weird concept now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure plenty of families live in Manhattan, but like, if you don't understand how Manhattan work, everybody who lives there are fairly rich, or they're just in some kind of like weird like situation, you know.
Sure.
They're like, oh, I'm an NYU student and I rent a studio apartment with 5 people.
Yeah.
You know, like, how do you do that? You know, we take shifts, I guess. It's like a submarine.
Oh God.
Yeah, but you know, so like a family home, like living in Manhattan specifically, like East Village.
I don't know. Like I said, it's been a very long time since I've watched this movie. It's probably actually been long enough that I could like put the S on the end of decades. Like, it's been, I might not have seen this since I was 16. Like, that's how long it's been.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this again. I'm excited to see if I like it as much as I did when I was a kid.
You do know that if the last time you watched it was 16, it's been longer since then from when it was made till when you were 16.
Donovan, stop hurting me with the passage of time.
Yeah. I just want you to know that we're all going to die.
I am deeply aware. And you know what? This movie will also confront those sorts of ideas.
Oh, great.
So we've brought it back around.
Glad. Yeah, the batteries aren't included in my pacemaker.
Anyway. So we're gonna watch this movie, and we'll see you on the other side, friends.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know nothing about this movie.
Yay. I hope you out there, I hope if you have seen this movie and know about it, you're excited to like come back with us. And if you haven't, I hope that you watch it.
Yeah, sure.
I might regret saying that later.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Maybe I'll cut this later.
Look, even if it's bad, or like deeply problematic in some way, like maybe you should still watch it just to like learn about it.
Yeah.
But if it's good, then hey, there you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Toodles.
It's such a sunny day, such a sunny day, such a sunny day, waves away.
And we're back.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
There were things I really liked about it.
Uh-huh.
Overall, you know, like I think it works pretty well. There were also things I didn't love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I liked a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll kind of talk about it, and I'll sort of like chime in a little bit as we go.
Sure.
But yeah, overall, I'd say it was pretty decent.
Yeah.
And I could totally see why, you know, little Hannah would just love that movie.
Yeah, it's weird because watching it now, I'm like, who was this aimed for? Because like I liked it a lot as a kid, but there's a lot of stuff in there that is not aimed at children, you know? And there's also a lot of stuff that is like possibly a little bit too like saccharine sweet for like adults.
Yeah, we'll get to one thing in particular, but there is one thing that is very not okay for children.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing as to why that was in the movie. Yeah, so, you know, why don't you explain this freaking film?
Yeah, so it's set in the 1980s. It's in East Village.
New York City,
yeah,
baby.
which is like in the middle of being demolished and renovated, essentially. So
Yeah.
there's a bunch of buildings that have been knocked down, and there's a construction crew that is trying to build a new like plaza for this guy named Lacey's Plaza.
Yeah.
And the only impediment is that there is one building who has not taken the money to relocate and is refusing to sell, and it is this building that I think is actually owned by Frank and Faye, because otherwise I don't know how they're allowed to just stay there.
Yeah, I believe they are the like, at least like, yeah, they're the owners, landlords. They run the restaurant at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then also I think they like everyone else pays them rent,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have refused to move, and so they're like the beginning of the movie is a bunch of goons trying to like pay them off and intimidating them out of the building.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go. And there are other people who also live in this building. At the beginning, there is also Muriel and Sid, who are like friends of Frank and Faye, but
Yeah.
they're very old, and so they take the money and they leave. They move to New Jersey, where their son is.
Yep.
And then there's also Marisa, who was like a pregnant woman.
Yes.
And she's living by herself. And there's Mason, who is like well, he starts the movie with a girlfriend. She leaves very soon into it. And he's like this like artist. He's a painter, and he's really into like the historic qualities of the building.
Yeah, his girlfriend, as she's leaving, is like, of course you love this place. It's old and depressing.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. Although he's got a loft in this apartment, and the size with that loft, that apartment would nowadays in New York be like $5,000 a month.
At minimum.
That is
like
what an insane, cool, huge apartment.
yeah.
That nowadays, like you wish you could live in a slum like that.
Yeah, right? And there is also Harry, who is like the handyman, like the superintendent of the building.
Yeah.
He's a former boxer. He lives in the basement. He doesn't talk much. It's somewhat implied that he's got some amount of brain damage from his boxing days.
Yeah.
And so they all live in this building that is kind of old and decrepit and falling apart, but they don't want to leave. And they certainly don't want to take this asshole's money. Speaking of asshole, there's this character named Carlos who is employed by said asshole, and he's trying to again intimidate them out of the building. And like the first sequence of the movie is him walking around and like threatening people to take money to move out.
Yeah.
They don't want to go. And then somewhat important is the fact that Faye, one of the main characters, has some form of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah.
She is not in the current moment, and she kind of just sort of like, oh gosh, whimsically dances around this movie, not entirely sure what's going on, but also somehow being the most plugged in.
Yeah, it's kind of that, like, she's not connected to reality, and because she's not connected to reality, she like really adapts to the like fantastical elements really well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to like go beat by beat for this movie
Sure.
particularly, but basically what happens is that there are these little flying saucer alien robots
Yeah.
that land in this one broken down and decrepit building and are like, well, we're gonna live here for a little while, and they have the ability to just fix things.
Yeah.
So the most of the movie is the people living in this building trying to figure out what is going on. What are these? Are they aliens? Are they some sort of like science experiment gone rogue and or escaped?
Yeah.
Are they dangerous? Are they helping? There aren't really answers for any of that. There's just a bunch of stuff that happens.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate the fact that we sort of never learn anything about them.
Yeah.
That they're sort of left to be a mystery.
Yeah, I like the idea that they are like aliens who are like traveling and they just kind of stopped here as a pit stop for a while and then like, well, we gotta go, bye.
Yeah, you can almost sort of imagine that they're a species where like they have to go to other technological civilizations and then like reproduce and then move on to the next one, you know?
It's like if borrowers were aliens and robots.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And I also kind of like the fact that they don't really expand on it, you know, because no matter any explanation that you would make for it just wouldn't be
as
be
satisfying.
good.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that they're these weird freaky robots that just show up.
Yeah, they never talk. Like the robots don't have any dialogue. They
No.
kind of like indicate things every so often by like helping or like leaving or whatever, but they don't communicate with anybody really. But they start fixing things around, and they eventually like Carlos had like busted up the entire cafe downstairs, and so they fixed the whole cafe. And so not only is it like all fixed, but it's all like shiny and new, basically.
Yeah, which is it kind of cool, and
Yeah.
you know, he fixes the broken picture and the broken glass. The glass, I don't know how they would. I guess you'd melt it back together. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's magic.
Yeah. It's alien magic.
It's sci-fi alien bullshit. It's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, Carlos, the gangster guy who busted everything up, he gets freaked out and thinks they're like ghosts or something.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
He gets really fixated. Well, so he's fixated on this building because like he's going to get paid if he gets everybody out of there.
Yeah.
But he's like weirdly fixated on this building.
He's like a low-level gangster who is being paid by like a big developer to like scare these people out.
Yeah.
But he's like below another guy who works for the developer, and so he's like reporting to that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Kovacs or whatever.
Yes.
So, there's this whole kind of like hierarchy here. And so, the fun thing about the movie is that we have this sort of colorful cast of characters of people who are living in this building who are attached to it in some way. The artist guy, he likes it because it's a cool old building, and this is where he's like making his art. And Marissa, it's like,
this is where her boyfriend left her, and so she has to stay here so that she's here when he comes back.
Exactly. And and then you've got the old couple, and this is where they built their business. They've been living here for 50 years. They love this place.
This is where all of the memories of their son are.
Yeah, woof. Yeah, it's just this was very much, I don't know how many people listening were around in the late 80s, like cognizant in the late 80s, but a lot of media being made in the 80s was about stuff like this.
Yeah.
This was when the hollowing out of the city was happening in the United States, and everyone was like fleeing to the suburbs, in droves. And like, yeah, that had been happening, but like the 80s was when like, the term like inner city started to be used.
Yeah.
Because the idea was like, inner city, the only people who live in the inner city are poor people, and usually like, not white people.
Yeah.
Which is, a big part of it. And, this movie, it's not, like, explicitly talking about racism, but, like, Marissa is Hispanic. Carlos, obviously, is Hispanic. Harry is black. Like, a lot of the characters are minorities, because that's New York City, you know? Like, it's a big part of the culture of New York City, is that it's very multicultural. And so, this movie has kind of things to say about capitalism and gentrification, and, sort of by a roundabout way has some things to say about, like, racism,
Yeah.
Not a lot.
No, not a lot.
Yeah, it was 1987. It was still the Reagan years. Like, we weren't, like, making big swings on racism, at least not in a movie like this.
No.
But, like, it's there. It's, like, subtly subversive. Mm-hmm. The cops aren't helpful, like...
Yeah, so Carlos comes in and busts up the place, and Mason tries to get the cops to come down. They're like, he's just like, arrest him. He's like, what for? He's like, he busted up the place. It's like, and he's going to say that he's going to have 18 friends that said that he was somewhere else the whole time, and you don't have any evidence. Yeah, because this was, like, before the time that everybody had, like, a goddamn Ring doorbell camera everywhere, or, like, phones or anything.
So they could find your lost dog and not totally, like, spy on you like Big Brother.
Right. Of course
totally
not. Never.
No.
That was kind of a thing also, is that, like, these little robot alien things are doing a lot of stuff in New York, and, like, they're very lucky that this was the days when, like, there weren't security cameras at every corner, and, like, whatever footage they got was grainy as hell.
The most unbelievable thing about this movie is that there's all these little, like, aliens, and later on, minor spoiler, later on there's a bunch of them that show up.
Yeah.
And, like, this is still New York City. This is still a city of 8 million people. People, like, someone's looking up at the sky. Someone's got a camera. Like, a lot happens sort of without anybody seeing. That's a little like, okay, come on now. Especially, like, when the whole building gets fixed, like, that place burned down, there would be people there.
Yeah.
They would be, like, looking at the charred remains of the building. There would be, like, firefighters and ambulances and, just gawkers. And the fact that, like, hundreds of robots show up and are like, beep boop, we're gonna fix the place. And there aren't, like, 20 people going like, holy shit, dude, robots.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, it's a little magical reality. Obviously sci-fi kind of, but it's kind of magical reality. There's a whole thing about how, like, each of the people living in the building sort of wished for this to happen.
All of them wanted a miracle.
And it did happen. And there's a point in the middle of the movie where they're all sort of pontificating about, well, maybe you brought it here because you wished for it hard enough.
Yeah.
And then, like, the one, the main guy, what's his name? The old...
Frank?
Yeah, Frank. He's all like, he's like, well, if you start asking questions about why a miracle happens, that'll make it go away. And it's just like, what the fuck are we talking about? Probably my biggest complaint about the movie is that it feels like 5 writers wrote the movie.
Yeah.
Like, scene to scene, characters act in slightly different ways, and they say weird lines, and I don't know. It's a little odd. Like the movie as a whole, I think works pretty well, like the plot and the story. But like little vignettes in the movie are kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it makes sense that I liked this movie a lot as a kid because there's a lot of that kind of stuff that your like child brain just sort of like edits out and like it doesn't matter. Look at the cute robots.
Yeah, and then
there are a lot of cute robots.
Yeah, there are a lot of cute robots. And then like one of them's stillbirth. Like,
yeah,
it's like, whoa, what? Huh? Whoa, hey.
The two robots, I think we're meant to believe that the two robots have come to Earth because the one robot is giving birth to more robots, and so it needs like a place to settle down.
It needs electricity and it needs material.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they land on like this one place, and the people there are like, yeah, we'll give you electricity and materials, which also includes like a very funny shot where Faye is like they're building these little robots. They're like all this sort of stuff. And so Faye is giving them materials. She's just like throwing like nuts and bolts at them. And then she like throws the whole can. And then she like grabs Mason's Pepsi can and throws that in too. Yeah. And she like every single time is just like, yeah, might as well. And it's very funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, they take on all of these materials and they build two little baby robots. And then they have a third baby robot that is not alive at birth.
Yeah. And it's, sad.
Yeah.
And then they try to bury it.
Yeah, Faye decides to bury it, and so she's like having a whole little funeral. She's like all dressed up in her like nice black clothes.
Yeah. And
she's like saying the Catholic prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Harry picks it up and then he tries to fix it. Which I don't know, it's weird to me that like these alien robots can fix anything, but like
they can't fix their own baby.
They can't fix the baby.
Yeah.
And this guy can.
It's also, so this is the thing.
I don't think you're supposed to question it,
This is the thing that struck me this time, is that this movie takes place over the course of like 4 days.
Yeah, it's like a week. Yeah. Yeah.
As a kid, I thought that it was like way longer than that.
No.
I don't know. But no, yeah, it takes place over the course of like 4 days.
Yeah.
Like we have the baby who was like stillbirth at night, and then like Harry takes it in the morning and he spends the morning fixing it, and then by afternoon it's brought back to life, and then like that evening is when the whole building burns down, basically.
There's like 1 or 2 extra days in there, but yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
Like it's basically happening. They go to the developer guy and he's like, I've only got 3 days and they've got to be out of there tomorrow.
No, he's like, yeah, they've got to be out of here tonight.
Which, by the way, that's not how development works.
No.
Like if he submitted a plan to the city and he's like, this is what I'm going to do, I just need to buy up the property, like, and then he's like, oh, interest rates are going up, and it's just like, what? But that's not what you just said. You said that you need 3 days or else you can't do the plans, and then, but interest rates are going to go up. It's like, it doesn't really work.
Yeah,
they're just trying to throw like jargon, like developer jargon at you so that you understand that there's like some stakes here, I guess.
I mean, it's the same thing as anything where it's like, we've got to put on a talent show so we can raise money to stop the development.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's not meant to be like one-to-one reality, really.
Yeah, and like, you guys got to move out by tomorrow. We're paying you to leave. Here's money, leave. Yeah. And it's just sort of like, don't you have, like, you need like 30 days?
Yeah, if you're paying them to leave, then like you already have essentially like a contract saying that they have agreed to move out, and also, here is money.
If Frank and Faye, if they own the building, like, you've got to have lawyers. You've got to like. Again, you're not supposed to think about this.
Yeah.
This is all like realism.
Don't think about all of the contracts needed to get them out of the building. Think about the cute robots and how cute they are.
It's magical reality. That's the way you need to approach this. It's magical reality, and it's for kids. And then there's a scene where the artist guy draws the pregnant woman naked.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Again, 5 writers making the movie. It feels like there was some like different ideas about what age range this was being pitched for.
Probably, yes.
Well,
so also it's weird because in the very beginning, Mason's girlfriend is like, you never even painted me naked. And I think that we're supposed to believe that like he was not actually ready for a relationship, but now he's in love with Marissa, and so he is ready for a relationship, and we're signifying that by the fact that he is painting her naked. I don't know why we did that, though.
Yeah, I don't. And also, like, she's pregnant. We don't get the idea that he's like ready to be a father. It like, they've got some bubbling little chemistry here between the two of them, and like, oh, that's kind of nice. He kind of, he kind of likes her or whatever, but like there's a whole bunch of stuff that like is about to, again, it's a sort of, we're not supposed to think about it
Right.
kind of thing. Which is again why him drawing her naked. By the way, she's not naked when he draws her naked.
No, she is wearing a fully different shirt than the one that he has.
And
her
then he
in.
like shows it to her, and at first she's like, "Oh, why did you do that?" And then she's like, "It's fine, I like it." And
Haha,
it's-
that's so silly that you
and
did that.
It's just like, I'm sorry, what? And also the artist looks like Gale from Baldur's Gate 3. He
does, yeah.
I just want to say he's got that, dumbass Billy Ray Cyrus hair and the big beard. Anyway,
Yeah, so, but, as a last-ditch effort to, like, just demolish this building and make way for the giant plaza, Lacey, the construction guy, is like, he's paid somebody to essentially burn down the building and make it look like an accident.
yeah.
And so he's, like, set up all of this, like, anarchist cookbook bullshit nonsense.
What it looks like he's doing is that he has basically, like, set up a couple of chemicals that will react to each other.
Yeah.
And
then a bunch of balloons with accelerant in
with
the basement.
accelerant, exactly. And so, like, it's going to be really hard to tell what caused the fire,
Yeah.
because this could have totally happened by accident.
Yeah. But, Carlos is there and, like, he wants the money for destroying this building, and so he fucks up the plans. And then they both realize that Faye is still in the building, even though everybody else has left to go look for the little alien robots, because... So Carlos is, like, there, and he's freaking out about the alien robots, and he's got an axe, and so he's messing up the place because he's trying to drive people out. He's, like, he's popped like the water line and like cut off their electricity, and then the robots come down because they like to fix things, and he hits one of them with an axe and it like essentially goes dark. He
seems like he kills it.
Yeah, the other robot fixes that one, but like they both leave because they're mad, and so everybody's going to go try to find the robots. And so then this is when the other guy is like coming in. He's doing his anarchist cookbook bullshit. But Carlos is there, and he realizes that Faye is still in the building, even though everybody else has left. And so he runs back in to try and save her, and that's when the building goes up.
And there's this whole thing throughout the movie where Faye keeps calling Carlos Bobby, and we don't know what that means early on. And, like Frank's like, oh, he's not Bobby. He's some punk. And
we do know that Bobby is their son, and Faye has mistaken Carlos for him.
And Carlos is like, I'm not Bobby, and like the whole movie, and she's like, sure you are, and blah, blah, blah. And then finally, when Carlos is trying to get her out of the building, he's like, yeah, I sure am, Bobby. Come outside. Look at my car. And that's like the sleeper slell trigger word for her. She's like, car. She remembers that her son died in a car accident. It's like, you're not Bobby. And so then,
So she's freaking out, and he basically has to like grab an old woman and like carry her out of a burning building,
out of the fire escape. He does a pretty heroic deed after being kind of a big asshole for the entire
whole movie.
Just really gross and disgusting towards Marissa, and like violent towards everybody else. Like just a real shithead. But at the same time, at the end, he saves her, and he's just like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. I really needed the job. I'm really poor. And again, it's kind of a, very subtle anti-capitalist thing, a very subtle, like, anti-big business thing.
I don't know that it was like meant to be that way, but it definitely is read that way because he was never going to move up in this organization. Like, Carlos was never going to get a job and actually better his place in life. He was always just going to be some low-level dude.
He was the fall guy. He was, and if he got sent to jail while, Lacey and Kovacs got to make tons of money, that was going to be just okay with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, at the end, you kind of feel for like, oh, yeah, he was put in a bad position, and that's why he did all those horrible things.
Yeah. So the building has burnt down, and everyone is very sad about it. Faye is in the hospital, and so Faye, Frank, and Mason and Marissa are all there waiting to check out her, make sure that she's okay. And Harry has stayed at the building, and it burned down overnight. He sat in front of the building all day long. It's now night again. And the robots come back. They all come back, and there are so many more robots. There's like
100 of them.
There are dozens and dozens of robots.
And they fix the whole building.
They fix it better than it was before.
Yeah, like they basically make it like it would have been brand new when it was built.
Yeah.
And like, there's a motif throughout the movie where Frank is trying to put the tiles in the entryway back together.
Yeah.
And it sort of symbolizes like, the beauty that this used to be, and now it's all crumbled and broken. And then they put it back, and so the movie kind of ends with everyone seeing the very nice, fancy tile work out front.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, well, that's really nice. And then it zooms out, and you see all of the other big buildings that Lacey planned to develop, and then the tiny little brownstone that they live in right in the middle of it.
Which is actually kind of like a depressing final shot.
Yeah,
of
a little
like,
bit.
Yeah, like this final like shot of like this little community that is like really pulled together and managed to stand strong. But then just like the glooming shadow of capitalism, like looming literally over top of them.
Maybe like a shot where like all of the workers from the businesses came down and had lunch there, and it's like, business is booming, the restaurant's never been more successful, and like everyone is living there, and like maybe like a little bit of follow-up there might have been nice, but we don't ever see that. We don't really know how well it works out for everybody else. We're sort of meant to assume that this is good still. I don't know.
And the robots have disappeared. They've left.
They've moved on, and the miracle happened, and they moved on and stuff. And then 2 years later, they're just gonna bulldoze the building again. Like if you don't think about the real world like implications of anything, you can very much enjoy this movie.
This is definitely a fridge logic movie where it's really fun to watch, and then if you spend 5 minutes thinking about anything part of it later, you're like, hey, wait a second.
Which is again kind of why some of the more adult themes being in it hit really weird. Like if they weren't there at all, I would just be like, this is a kids movie. And it's a good kids movie. But because they're there, you sort of have to go, who is this for? And it makes it a little bit of a weird watch. It's also a little long for what it is. Like,
I mean, it's an hour and 46 minutes, and then we were watching and we checked. The robots don't show up until 22 minutes in.
And no movie would ever be made like that now. You would see the robots, like the first shot would be the robots coming to Earth, and then you would cut to 10 minutes of everybody doing the normal thing. And then we would see the robots again, and then it would cut back 10 minutes or 5 minutes or so. You would have to cut back to the robots. So it'd be like, hey guys, robots are still in this movie. Don't worry about it.
They would probably have like a couple of scenes of like the robots trying to find other places that would work, and like none of them being the right fit. Like they don't have like the right electricity, or they don't have the sort of materials that they need or something. They would have that. It wouldn't just be like the robots just showing up outside of the window and being like, here, looks good.
Yeah, exactly. So but overall, I still think it's pretty good. I still enjoyed it, and I still get why...
Me, as a child, watched it a dozen times at least.
But I also kind of get why it hasn't become like a cult classic. There's definitely things about it that kind of make it like okay, that was fine, but let's put it on the shelf and never talk about it again.
Sure. We are going to talk about the cast a little bit. So Frank, one of the main characters, is played by Hume Crone. He had a long career in acting in movies, TV shows, and on stage.
Hume Cronin.
Cronin, yeah. His first role was in the Hitchcock film Shadow of a Doubt.
Yep.
That was his first thing. And he worked with Hitchcock for a few other movies.
I was about to say, I know he did Lifeboat.
Yes.
Yeah, that was another one that he did.
Yeah, and he was on a couple of episodes of Hitchcock Presents also.
Uh-huh.
He was also in Richard Burton's production of Hamlet. He was Polonius. Yeah. He was married 3 times. The first time, the first marriage was a lavender marriage, and his wife wanted to keep their marriage a secret because she was a lesbian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And then after that, he met and married Jessica Tandy, who was also in this movie. They were married for 52 years until she died in 1994.
Yeah, isn't she playing his wife?
Yes,
yeah.
Faye is Jessica Tandy.
Did they meet doing this movie?
No, they met well before this movie because they'd been married for like 50 years. They had like a long history of working together. There were a lot of like TV shows and like stage productions, especially that they worked on together. They had a play that they did together. Hang on one sec.
You can tell that the two of them work together really well on screen. You can tell that they have some like chemistry together. So it makes sense that they would have worked together for a long time.
Yeah, so they worked together several times. They were in a couple of television things called, there was like the Gin Game that they were in together. Yeah. But they also had a Broadway play that they did together about their marriage called The Four Poster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so then Jessica Tandy is Faye, in his wife in both the movie and real life.
Yeah.
And you know Jessica Tandy. She was in Fried Green Tomatoes and Driving Miss Daisy and The Birds.
Yeah.
She won a Tony for her role as Blanche Dubois in the original production of A Streetcar Named Desire.
Oh, yeah.
She has a long and fantastic history in acting, both, again, in television and movies and stage. Marissa was played by Elizabeth Pena. She was in La Bamba. Yeah. And she was the other detective in Rush Hour, the one that was like helping and or impeding Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
And she was also the voice of Mirage in Incredibles.
I did not know that until just now.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mason was played by Dennis. I swear I looked up how to pronounce this and now I'm going to do it wrong. Dennis Bousarkis. And he's been all over the place. He mostly seems to play like doctors or lawyers or professors.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in like all of the Law and Orders. He was in Dragnet and Criminal Intent. And he was also in an episode of The X-Files. And he had like a reoccurring role as a professor on Shameless.
Yeah.
Etc. Imagine a guy with fluffy hair and a beard. That's him. You've seen him somewhere.
Yep. Fun fact about him is that he was Mozart in the stage production of Amadeus on Broadway. And he was, I think, according to this, he was the first American to play Mozart.
Yeah.
So, and he was on Better Call Saul and all that kind of stuff, too. Definitely a guy. Oh, he's from Newark, New Jersey. Look at that.
Harry, the former boxer, is played by Fank McRae.
Yep.
He started out as a defensive tackle for the Chicago Bears.
I mean, he didn't start that way, but yes. Yeah, he did do that for a little bit. And you can tell that guy's
giant.
Big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He mostly did smaller roles in movies. He was in The Last Action Hero and Red Dawn.
Yeah.
And he'll actually be coming up in a future episode.
I just saw that. He's going to be in the next James Bond episode that we are going to record.
Not that's going
to come out. We still have a couple until then, but the next one we're going to record is License to Kill, and he's in that one.
Yeah.
He was also in Rocky 2.
Yeah. Carlos was played by Michael Carmine. He had a small role in Scarface, and he also did stage work both on and off Broadway. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he died very young of complications due to AIDS.
Yeah. He was on Hill Street Blues as well.
Yes.
Yeah. He played a lot of criminals. That was kind of like his type early on. Shame that he couldn't like live longer to do more stuff.
Work.
Yeah.
He has a very small part in this movie, but Sid, Frank and Faye's friend from the beginning, is played by Tom Aldridge.
Yeah.
That's Tony Soprano's father-in-law.
I was about to say, he's the father-in-law in Sopranos, which we have been watching off and on kind of behind the scenes here.
We like doing things and not recording, talking about it.
Yeah, we do other things.
Tom Aldridge had a long stage career. Did you know that he originated the role of the narrator in Into the Woods?
I did not until just now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's from Dayton.
He's from Dayton, Ohio.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Muriel is played by Jane Hoffman. She mostly worked in TV, but she had a small part on a movie about a man who had deluded himself into thinking that he's Sherlock Holmes and is being treated by a doctor that just happened to be named Watson. This movie is called They Might Be Giants, which is where They Might Be Giants gets their name from.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see me, but I'm doing the mind blown expression right now. Like literally, like what the actual fuck?
It's my favorite thing that I've learned so far.
That's insane.
I know.
That's fucking crazy.
I looked this up and I double checked it with like They Might Be Giants one, because there are some people who had said that like they got that name because like someone in the music industry was like, well, they might be big, so they're like, haha, They Might Be Giants. And like both of the Johns have said that story's not true. That feels very self-aggrandizing and not the sort of thing that we would say.
No, it doesn't seem like a They Might Be Giants story. It's much more that they would watch a weird random movie about that, which, God, that's that's fun. I enjoy that.
I know, right?
We need to watch that movie.
Yeah, we do. And so then Lacey, the developer, kind of not the last guy, there's one more. He's played by a guy named Michael Green, who is just in a bunch of stuff. But funnily enough, he was in Return of the Killer Tomatoes that also had George Clooney in it. Not Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
What? Why was George Clooney in that?
Who knows?
What?
Who's to say?
I'm sorry? What a weird pull.
Last but not least, John Pankow, who was like Kovacs, the like mid-level guy.
Yeah.
And he's been in a bunch of stuff. The thing that I kind of know him the most from was my parents were huge fans of Mad About You, and he was like a recurring side character on that.
Mm-hmm. He also, oh, wow. Okay. Just checking stage credits here. He also played Mozart on stage Amadeus.
Yeah.
And he replaced Tim Curry.
Weird.
What a fucking wild pull.
Such a thing that happened.
Well, honestly, what kind of that shows to me is that this is a film. So the New York City film industry is not what it once was.
Yeah.
There was a time when, you know, obviously LA was the big place to make films, but there were lots of films being made in New York City. This really feels like a lot of New York City actors, New York and New York adjacent actors doing a movie together.
Yes.
That's really what this feels like.
I agree.
You know, you see that kind of thing every once in a while. That's really cool. I enjoy that.
Yeah. That's about all I have. I do encourage you to check out this movie.
Well, you forgot about the crazy weird
oh yeah,
cameo. Yeah.
So hey, there's a weird thing. If you watch this movie, in the like last scene when everybody is like, "Oh my god, look at this building! I swear it was burnt down, but now it's here." There's a whole big crowd shot.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people coming to look at the building. And if you look carefully, you can see Luis Guzman.
You don't have to look carefully. It's almost framed, centered on him.
No, he's like to the left of right of frame, but you know.
I mean, I guess like this was before he got big. Like he was already an actor at this point, because you know he was like in his 30s at this point.
Yeah.
You know. So like, but this was before he was in Boogie Nights. This is before he was in well, Oz, obviously, before he was Gomez. But like, yeah, he had done some stuff at this point. So yeah, it's kind of crazy to see him in just like such a weird like background. Like, oh, hey,
that's Luis Guzman.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not even like he's like, oh, in the corner. You barely like he's right there. You can just see him.
But yeah, I encourage you to check out this movie. You can rent it on YouTube. That's what we did.
Yeah, it in a weird way, it kind of feels like a movie that would come out today. Like, obviously, there are some things that are dated about it, but it's very much the politics and the sort of point of view that it's coming from feels very, 2026. You know, it has that
found family, community action kind of thing.
Yeah, the big corporate, guys are assholes and they're trying to destroy our like communities.
Yeah, I would also say it's a little bit of like a bottle episode of a movie because there's really only the one set. It's the building.
You can kind of tell that it was very much originally conceived as a TV episode, because it's like they fill out the time fairly well. I think they could have cut it down a little bit, but you could tell like you could have done this in 40 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Like you could absolutely have been like, oh yeah, guy comes and smashes up the place. Aliens fix it. You could have skipped a couple of scenes and tightened it up quite a bit.
There is one set. It is the building, and then like I think there's one scene that's not there or like on the street outside when they go to like generic corporate office for a hot second.
Yeah, and also like the roof set. The roof set is great because it's like I joked about this while we were watching the movie, but like, no actual roof of a building looks like that.
Yeah.
That's like just sort of the TV idea or movie idea of what a top of a building looks like in New York City. And you can tell it's a set, and there's like a great matte painting of New York skyline behind it.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome to watch, but also it's like very obvious it's a set.
Yeah.
It's got all these like pipes sticking out of nowhere, and they're, it's fun.
Yeah. There's a shack up there, and they at one point explained it away of like, yeah, our son kept pigeons up here. Why?
Yeah. What a strange child.
Yeah.
It's just like, Dad, why are you yelling at me? I'm just raising pigeons and buying a car.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I do love that matte painting, though. I'm a sucker for a good matte painting.
You are a sucker for a good matte painting.
Give me a matte painting and a sound stage, and I'm a happy girl.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. It was fun.
It was fun. I liked it. I think I would encourage you to check it out, especially if you want to see what fucking shell-shocked New York City looked like in 1987. Like, there's so many other buildings where, like, they're obviously going to be demolished soon. They just have, like, their back windows completely, like, blown out.
Yeah, I wish I knew a little bit more about late 1980s New York City.
Yeah.
Like, I'm familiar with New York City conceptually, and I'm familiar with like some of its history, but like I'm not super knowledgeable about the specific time. 10 years previous, fuck yeah, CBGB. 1977, that was East Village, or it was Bowery East Village. It's kind of all bordering each other, so punk rock, hell yeah. Late 80s, I have no fucking idea what was going on around, like, I guess Sonic Youth was hanging out probably somewhere in there. They were...
Yeah, one of those other empty buildings. They're squatting in there and developing their sound.
Yeah, totally. There was like a New York, like, post-punk scene going on that was cool. And, obviously hip-hop was happening. Although hip-hop wasn't happening in Manhattan, I don't think, at this point. It was mostly happening in, like, some of the other boroughs. My parents lived in Staten Island, and apparently they lived really close to where Wu-Tang was at the time in the 80s, and my parents were like, yeah, we heard them playing music real loud at night. That very easily could have been Wu-Tang Clan. We have no idea, because they weren't plugged into that shit. They were theater people. They were plugged into this shit.
Yeah.
So, New York City. I have a lot of... I don't think I could ever live in New York City, just for a lot of reasons, monetarily not being the least of them. But at the same time, like, I have a lot of fondness and a lot of good feelings and memories of New York City. And I always like it when a movie cares about New York City.
Yeah.
When a movie, like, isn't, like...
It's not just like, oh, New York, what a great place to be, but, like, it shows you a little... Like, this movie is a little bit on the gritty reality, but not like the 2000s... angry Batman gritty reality.
See, I don't like it. There's two extremes of how people think about, like, there's always the venerated big city. It's like, oh, my name in lights, one day I'll be a star.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And then also I don't like the big city's terrible and horrible and you got to get out, I like a more, like, in the middle, where it's just like, hey, the city's a hard place to live, but there's great people here, and we have a lot of love for this community,
which this movie does a pretty good job of showing off. And
I think
also
so.
There are cute robots.
There are cute robots there, and I hope out there you are doing well and you are connecting with your community, and I hope that you also are making sure that rich developers are losing lots of money on you.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely do that.
Bleed them dry every chance you get. Thank you.
Yeah. Fight the power. Damn the man. Save Frank's Cafe.
It was not called that. It was Riley's Cafe.
Yeah, it was called Riley's Cafe.
Why was it called Riley's Cafe?
I don't know. It might have been like his dad's cafe, or like maybe...
It seemed like he opened it. Why is it called Riley's Cafe?
I think that like they were supposed... Like, I think that he grew up there.
Okay.
Like Frank grew up there, and then he raised Bobby there. And I think that, like...
I see, okay.
I don't know. It might have been named after, like, his dad or an uncle or something.
Yeah. And and on that note of the loving the city and stuff, like, the opening sequence for the film is, like, old doctored black and white photos of them, like, living in the house and raising kids in the house and stuff like that, and shots of New York City. Again, that a lot of love for that city.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. There was a Tumblr post recently about how the Men in Black series has a love for New York City and, like, its immigrant culture.
Yeah,
and I thought about that, and I didn't really mention that when we watched Men in Black 3, but I do agree with that, because a lot of the movie is essentially about, hey, aliens are refugees and they're coming to Earth and they're just trying to live normal lives, and we're gonna try and facilitate that.
Yep.
And I think that's cool.
Me too.
And that's kind of what this movie's about.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny if this was like a side story of Men in Black.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, yeah.
And that's why you never see the robots again, because they're like, you can't do that.
Yeah. And they put them in like a human bodysuit that they puppet.
Pilot around, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anywho, well, this was a fun little
it was
my
and
thing, your thing.
I would really love it if people listening to this could send me their truly random VHS tapes that they had that they watched a dozen times. This is a movie that almost no one remembers, and there are, I am sure, a bunch of other movies like that out there that almost no one remembers. And I want to know about them, and I want to remember them, and I want to talk about them. So if you have a VHS that you're like, nobody knows this, email it to us. Maybe we'll watch it.
Yeah.
And talk about it.
Yeah. mythingyourthing@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Well, until then, this was Donovan.
And I'm Hannah.
Have a good one.
Take care of each other, folks.
Yeah, and, right to repair, fix things.
Oh, God,
Don't just buy new things.
Thanks for listening. You can find us at mythingyourthing.com or at mythingyourthingpod on social media. Thanks to RK Maroon for letting us use their song Macaroni Art from the EP You Can't Eat Horses. You can get it at rkmaroon.bandcamp.com. If you have a thing you think we should talk about, email us at mythingyourthingpod@gmail.com, and maybe that could be our thing.